younger dancers to get a chance to perform. A lot of times we do a parade, or we always do a parade down Main Street USA. All of our East Coast events also include a showcase element, so we allow them to perform on the stage in a theater at the Disney parks. And then we also have a very fun element for all the families to also get a chance to experience this with our VIP parties, which is an exclusive entrance into one of the sections of the park. We have the rides open, characters come out and play with them, endless photo ops. So we do a lot for these dancers, but I think what it really comes down to is that we are all dancers that enjoyed a career at these venues. So we really love to pass on what we did and what we love. And I think that's what makes Dance and Magic very different. And we would love to share a little bit more. So if you have some time, stop by the booth. We're at booth 24, and we'll tell you a little bit more of the details of what goes into planning these wonderful events. But I'm going to leave you real quick because I'm going to present the next speakers. Of course, that will be Ree and Michelle that are going to be talking to you about creating and developing dance powerhouses. But I want to tell you just how Debbie, the founder and president of Dance and Magic, met Ree. So she was a studio owner, and she was trying to grow her program and allow her dancers to do something fun and unique. And so she knocked on Disney's door. A few years later, finally was able to make it happen. But she really likes to credit Ree for helping put Dance and Magic on the map, because she saw his magazine, was able to put an ad out there, and that's how she was able to really spread the word around, was able to reach more people, and the rest is history. Now, Dance and Magic is here. We are so proud to be a premium sponsor. And with that, I leave you with Ree and Michelle. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you guys in booth 24.
Thank you. And thank you to Dance the Magic. Okay, Michelle, this is you and me, my friend.
Let's do it.
Even though this is called Dance Powerhouse, this isn't to encourage you to become the largest studio in America. This is to see how this journey took place and how Michelle got to the place that she's in at this time. Currently operating a studio in North Carolina and South Carolina with a grand total of over 2,500 students. Do I have that right?
Yeah, we're closer to 3,000. So.
Just slightly off there. It's another 500. I've been to her studio. It's a magnificent space. I've even been to the second studio, but we forgot the key to the door, so I never got in.
I didn't even have a key to my own door.
And so can I start off by asking you this? Tell me about the first 10 years, opening, and then how it grew, and how long did it stay a smaller school? Just the decade.
Okay, because
By the way, 30 years this year.
I just finished my 30th year. So when he asked me to do this, I thought, I don't know how to separate the decades. Well, then as soon as I started making notes, I said, oh my gosh, it separated itself. So when I first opened, I was newly married. I was 24 years old, and my ex-husband, you notice he's an ex now. I was with him over 20 years, but he did not want me to do this. He fought me tooth and nail on this. He said, you are not going to be good at this. This is a terrible idea. You're going to give everything away. You're too nice. It's not going to work. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do it anyway, because I originally didn't want to even own a school. I wanted a pageantry and bridal store because I was on home ec scholarship through college. I love to sew. I love decorating. I love all those kinds of things. So I ended up working at a studio, realized that if I wanted to teach dancers and they have discipline, I would just have to do it my own way. So I thought, I'm going to do this. So he fought me on it. So I went to Mr. Wilson in my hometown, which was 2.5 hours away, because he knew my mother and he knew that she would pay the loan back if I didn't. And I asked for $4,000, and I started my entire business on $4,000. That was first and last month's rent and everything I needed to upfit the place. But I was also building the walls, which did not reach the ceiling. So they were only 8 feet because that's what the plywood came in. And I did not know what I was doing. So my sister at the time was 13, and she, of course, works for me now. But we did it all, painted, hung stuff, nailed, did everything ourselves. So it was awful. My lobby was 4 feet by 6 feet. And on the way back home after getting my loan, because, I had $4,000 cash in my pocket, my ex and I rode past this little place on the side of the road, and they had 4 wooden chairs on the side of the road that looked terrible. I said, "Stop, those chairs are for sale. I'm gonna have them for my lobby." And he was like, "What? They're trash, whatever." I don't know. I said, "Get them." So we went. I paid $20 for 4 chairs. They lasted for almost 10 years in my lobby. That was the best investment I had made. I painted them, got spray paint, painted them, did the seating, everything. I changed the seat covers like 100 times in the life of those chairs. I wish to God I had those chairs this day. I hate I got rid of them. But, that's how meager it started. But I had 650 square feet, 1 dance room, my tiny little lobby, the bathroom, and a tiny little office, and a tiny little door I would open, a closet that had dance wear in it. But that's how I started. And after my first open house, I had 21 students. I needed 24 and a half to break even. So I was like, okay, I've still got a week for classes. And I just put my flyers out. That's all I had money for, because the home builder that I had worked for, where I met my ex-husband, they said, "You can come here and use the copy machine. Just bring your own paper." So I would go every night, and through the night would just make copies and fold flyers. And then the next day I would go out and put these out. So, everybody looks at me now and thinks, "Oh, of course you're doing well, blah, blah, blah." I mean, I was made fun of by everyone in the Charlotte area because all the studios there were big. Pat Hall, I don't know if any of y'all know who she was. Like, she had thousands of kids. Well, probably not. She probably had 700 or 800 at the time, which was huge. And her production numbers at competitions were so huge. And I'd come in with my 3 little numbers and just pray that they got anything. And so I literally started meager. And I was okay with that because I couldn't fail, because he had already told me I wasn't going to be good at this. So there was my motivation. And, motivation will get you places. I just kept expanding. And the best part of this is that back then I had that feminist ego of, I'm going to do it on my own. So I would not sign a contract with anybody to rent property if they had to have my husband's signature. So I would not go. Once they said that, I was like, I'm out. So I came into this little ratty, nasty C location. You got your A locations I'm in now, and this was literally a C- location. And it was called Pineville Porch. And Freddie Smith was a gentleman that he had diabetes, so he had lost half of his feet, so he wore these shoes, and he was kind of staggering. He was like 6 foot something, big jolly man. And so he came by, and I said, I want to put a dance school in this. And he said, in this, I don't know how you're going to do that. I said, don't worry, just let me sign a year lease. If it doesn't work out, I will flip burgers to pay the rest of this lease off. And he said, okay. So I went to the Pineville area, and I got my telephone number set up. I wanted 889 Jazz. They didn't have it. So I got 889 Toes. So until Freddie Smith died, he called me Toes. So he would come in the building and visit me from time to time. Everybody thought he was my father because he was so jolly and so sweet and so proud of me. And so as I expanded, I called it pecking a hole in the wall and putting a door to go to the next room. So I ended up pecking a hole where I made the 650 square feet into my main dance room. I got a little lobby there. I pecked a hole to put my office there. I pecked a hole on that side for my second dance room. So I got as far down the shopping center as I could. But he used to brag to everyone and say, she's my anchor tenant. But my rent was so cheap. And so I had to move out. I moved out into a nicer location. So I went to a B- location because my ex-husband kept saying, you're a destination. You don't need a fancy place. Just, stick it somewhere. I was kind of given a little advice that I probably shouldn't have listened to, but it was within budget. So my second location was slightly nicer. And I stayed there until I got pregnant with my daughter. And I decided, because the parents were such a pain, that I wanted to either go up in business or I wanted to go out of business. So I had about 250 to 300 students. I had my little competition team was about 35 to 40 kids. The parents all thought they were doing me a favor being there. They were like, we could be dancing at these other big schools. We could be doing this. You know how they do. They just degrade you. So I said, great. I think that you should go there. I think you should go find them. Go see how they are. But once you leave here, the door locks behind you. You can't come back. Because I didn't want to be the whole, I'll come, we can always go back to her. So that's when I moved into the second decade. Now, keep in mind, I was only making enough money to buy hair products and get a facial every now and then and get my toes done. I was making no money. I kept pouring everything back into it, as we all do.
Before we go to decade 2, tell them about the crown molding.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This place was so ratchet that my stepfather did scenery for a regional theater in my little hometown. And he was known as the cardboard king. And he literally traveled and did seminars on how to make scenery out of cardboard. And he passed away, but he was amazing. So I called him crying one night because I had painted the paneling walls. I had bought paneling to put up because I couldn't afford drywall. So I bought paneling and just turned it around backwards and painted it. Well, when you paint paneling, it gets wet and swells. So I had big bulging walls and I'm crying. He said, when it dries, it will go back. Trust me. And I said, but I don't know how to do the trim at the top. I don't know how to. He said, okay, I'll be there this weekend. He made 6-inch crown molding out of cardboard and painted it, put it up on the walls. And I had a corner I had built in the lobby going around the corner, and it was kind of rough. So he made capitals and a little cardboard circle thing to look like a column. But if you fell into it, it mashed into the wall. It was awful. It was embarrassing, but it looked great. But every time somebody was like, don't touch that, but it was all ornate and this crown molding going down there. I thought, oh my God, after we got that done right before that first open house, I felt like a princess in my little tiny castle, my cardboard castle. I mean, it was so cute. And then above the mirrors, he did a cardboard scrolling thing for me because he wanted to do a little something extra for me because I'd worked so hard. So it was just, I miss those days where it was just me and the kids. And they used to tell me that they loved me and I smelled good and my eyelashes were pretty. They, stuff like that. It's much different now. Of course, my budget's better. But that first decade is definitely different than my second.
Okay, tell us about number 2.
Okay, so I get into this, I've been in this new little studio for a while. So I decided I'm going up or out. Okay, so I'm in Daytona. I think it's Daytona, Florida for one of your events. I had brought some kids. Now the kids can dance. I've got some dancers. So now I think I've arrived, And so I brought a handful, probably 10 or something. And they were taking some little classes he was offering for the kids, but it was mainly the seminars. And I think it was your first year doing that, maybe?
It may have been.
Okay. And so he and I are so old, we can't remember crap. So
speak for yourself.
Oh, okay. So I got to his seminar and I had been taking my Gold Rush magazine for years and I had listened and hung on every word that Regold said. So I didn't miss his seminars in the summer. So I go to this and I'm sitting there. My sister's taking classes. I'm doing all the business track. I've got my people. And I came in that night and I don't know who it was or what it was, but I'd heard about doing articles. It's an ad that you buy in the newspaper, but you write it like an article. So it looks like somebody's written an article on you. So I sat down that night and I wrote up the article and I was going to change the name because the name of my original studio was Enchanting Dancers. And I had boys walking around in purple jackets with ballerinas on their back that said Enchanting Dancers. I'm thinking, I'm doing all the wrong crap. What in the world's wrong with me? So I said, I'm going to change the name. And I said, I'm going to change it to Miller Street Dance Academy because our street that we started on was Miller Street and it looked like a driveway. So I went to get my power signed up and I said, oh, I'm on South Boulevard. They said, no, you're actually on Miller Street. And I said, no. And they said, that driveway is actually your street. I was like, clearly I am that big. But my mom's maiden name was Miller. So it was a family name. So I said, I'm doing this. So I went over, registered the name, changed it. I kept my 889 toes and just forwarded it to my number now. So I still have 889 toes. And by the way, my second studio is 396 Jazz. So I ended up getting that in South Carolina. So I got what I wanted eventually. But I said, I am going to spend $80,000 this year on advertising. My rent was going up to from what I was paying now was like $2,500 a month in this second location. I was moving it up to like $6,000 a month for this new location. And I'm going to throw $80,000 at marketing. I'm actually going to run ads in the newspaper. I'm going to do all the things. and I did this article. I went from this 300 to 400 thing. Within 1 month, I had over 650 students in this summer. Now, I moved the studio in April, so everyone that was taking classes had to come to this new studio for the last couple of weeks of classes. And my husband said, "You're overlapping. You're going to pay double rent." I said, "I need those people to drive here, because if not, they'll go, oh, we'll just go somewhere closer," because I was moving like 10, 12 minutes away. So I did all the things. I laid in bed one night crying. My ex says, "Are you crying over there?" And I said, "I have too much money in my bank account." I had looked at my bank account and I had so much money that I thought that I had done something wrong. And he said, "Don't worry, honey, you're getting ready to pay that rent." And he was right. But I did not understand the power of having numbers, going from that to that was a lot of profit. Now, my expenses had more than doubled. I now was having a little bit more staff, but I felt like I was now a viable business. But I was walking away from his seminar with the confidence to say, I'm going to go up or I'm going to go out. And I had already secured a job in a real estate firm as selling real estate. I was going to run their whole new home division. I had my plan B, and I honestly was kind of looking excited and forward to that, because I could take no more of the parents. I felt like I don't want people doing me a favor by dancing with me. I want them to find value in what I do. And I opened my office. It's the first time now I would have full-time office staff from the time we opened in the morning till we closed. So I didn't come 30 minutes before a class and just answer phone calls. I now had a viable office staff. I now was a big girl, and I was moving into what seemed like a real business. And Reed kept saying, treat it like it's a business, because it is. And so I finally took that advice and treated it that way. Well, then,
Yeah, go to the third decade.
okay. So then I'm now divorced. My husband now, Harold, and I are dating. And I said to him, they're going to tear down my dance studio, and they're making me move to behind here, or I have to find somewhere else to go. And he said, oh, he's in real estate because he's a retired financial planner and stockbroker. So he did land development for fun. And he said, I'll find you a place. So he's finding me all these places. I'm like, no, buddy. In Charlotte traffic, it'll take my people 30 minutes to get there. They're not going to come to me. He said, you'll get others. And I was like, no. How's your little dance studio doing, buddy? You're going to have to do what I say now, because I know what I'm doing. He said, okay. So I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go and represent me, but don't tell them that we're dating. I don't want them to know. And I want you to come in on these meetings and help me out. And he said, what is the problem? So I hand him a contract that is 3 inches thick. These people were tearing my building down to put medical there. And as you know, medical pays top dollar. And so they weren't letting me stay. But the problem is, I was on a street, Providence Road, that has 20,000 cars a day go past it. And now I'm going to be set behind it. So I'm in the same mileage of where I was before, but I'm not visible. And I was terrified and I was so afraid. So Harold went in, and the owners were these little gentlemen in their 90s, and they were called the Ray brothers. And their family had all the farmland in the area, and now they were becoming multi-gazillionaires. So they found out that I was coming, and I later found out that when the developers said, who do you want in your new center? Who do you want? And they said, we want the dance lady. And they said, no, like out of all your tenants all over Charlotte, who do you want? He said, the dance lady. And they said, why? And he said, we love her business plan. We love how she keeps her building. We love all those trophies in that trophy shelf, because I only have my trophies in one space, and it's one room of trophies that you can see in the window. He said, we want her. So little Willie Ray showed up. He is like 93 at the time. He's still alive. He shows up at the meeting. So they meet me at, I'm in this big building, and I've got Harold beside me who, he looks like a god standing there. He's so good looking. Anyway, we'll get more on that later. But so he walks in, but we're not standing too close together and all this stuff. So I've got the man behind the business there, because now I've decided I don't really care. I just want what I want, and I don't care if I'm a woman doing it myself. We walk into the building, and they made one mistake saying something in front of Harold and I. Said, Michelle, Willie Ray came himself to this meeting. And I said, who's Willie Ray? And he said, Ray Brothers. And I said, oh. He said, he is so excited to meet you. And I was like, That empowered me a lot. So we sat in that meeting and they talked and talked, and Willie Ray kept interrupting them, saying, she gets that, she gets that, she gets that. Then after that meeting was over, and then I turned it over to Harold to do the rest, he was able to negotiate for me. But I went from paying $600-ish a month to $2,500-ish a month to $6,000 a month. I'm at $40,000 a month in this building. Now,
How much space?
10,000 feet, and I want to give you a tour. So this is my...
Hang on one sec. Can we connect this? Are we connected?
I think I'm connected. I'm very well connected.
No,
Ray.
I mean, we want to connect it to the screen. Oh,
He's
we're
got his
there.
thumbs up, yeah.
We're there. I mean, what am I?
I have your
You guys
people.
don't need me. Bye-bye.
No. Okay, so this is my lobby. This shows the whole overview of the studio. So you walk in and this is what you see. What do I do to make this thing move? Okay, thank you, Rebecca. Bing. Okay. So this
Just hit X there. Is there an X on there?
oh.
See the X right here? Oh, no, there's no X. Okay, go.
Okay, I do need a man.
No, I think we need Rebecca.
So now you're halfway in the door. I'm her blonde friend.
Is it a video?
It's a video.
But now you're in it.
Okay, now keep going. Okay, so this is one of my dance rooms. I built it with the doors. They let me build this building how I wanted it. So I have those double doors there and the double ones coming in so I can get props in and out so I never have to rent an outside facility. These ceilings are 25 feet high. Don't ever do that because you can't change light bulbs.
Plus, it has to be HV or HVAC, all of that.
Holy cannoli.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, guys, it wasn't me. She can't do it as good either. Well, now you're in the corner. Okay. This room is like 40 feet by 50 feet. It's a nice size room. Woo. She's showing you the paint colors. There we go. Okay, keep going. Oh, there's the fun lights. Okay. I had recessed all of the equipment for sound so they don't stick out. Then, all right, go right. Uh-huh.
Left.
This window you see down at the bottom is the window to the office. Nope, come back in. That door you're looking at to the right is my staff area. I know. I don't know. There we go.
Can we go in there? We're not going.
No, you're going around the corner. Well, you're on the ceiling now.
Can you push it?
I don't know what that is.
No, we're back to the hall, I think. Oh, no. Oh.
Yeah, now go. Yes, I want to go in that door right there. There we go. This is another dance room here. Another 25-foot ceiling. They're everywhere. Oh, here comes Scott. This is getting serious.
I'll get Rebecca a chair. I got a chair. I want you to come do it.
Do you know how to do this?
It plays on my website. Yeah. Huh?
Is he supposed to play?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, come here. My best friend's coming towards the stage. Y'all are out. She's in. Okay. Yeah, it should be a video that just keeps going. Yeah. Yep. So
Will you
okay,
stay
you
with
stay
us?
right there.
Have a seat.
Yep. Have a seat and stay there. Okay. Yeah, there is. There we go.
Oh my.
All right.
Who
So-
just said that? You
All
get
right.
you get 10 points.
Yes, you
and-
do. All right, so now we're back in this room. You've already been on the ceiling and everything else in here. Then you come out. There's my little cubby holes to the right with everybody's junk left. And there's another room. Those are just cheerleaders. I have like the different NFL and college cheer. I don't usually have clothing here, but this particular day I had some shirts for sale. So that's a big Harris Teeter across the parking lot there that I share that with. And this is my hallway. Both of these doors to the left are girls' bathrooms. This comes back into my homework and sitting area. This is my baby room.
Isn't that cool?
And then this is my fifth room, which is another very large room. And then that shows, and I have this on my website so parents can kind of see what we're doing. It doesn't show the back office area, and that's by design. I don't want them to know what's back there. But I've just come so far in these 3 decades that it makes me giggle. But we talk about the Gold Rush magazine. I used to wait for that thing to come in the mail, and I would say, oh my gosh, how did he know I needed to know this? How did he know this was my problem? And I'd have little sticky notes and arrows, and I made notes in it. And I've got to dig that thing up and show him, because it was life-changing having the support, because we didn't have internet back then. You remember that? That was the beginning. Back in '94, you didn't have all that stuff, all of this at your fingertips like we have now. So I just feel like I'm so blessed to have come from just nothing, where people were making fun of me, to now I'm a viable business. And the confidence that I grew, because, we were in our Gold Alliance meeting earlier, and one of the gentlemen in there said that he wasn't good in school, and he got his self-esteem through music and that stuff. I wasn't good in school either. And when I was little, my sister was 10 years younger than me. So when she was 2 and I was 12, I remember my dance teachers labeling me as the skinny, dumb one and her as the fat, smart one. So we were labeled early on. Allison never felt good about her body, and I never felt good about my brain. So overcoming stuff like this, but I tell Ree this all the time, and he laughs, but you're never good until you're damaged, because damaged people have empathy, and damaged people know how it feels. So that's my story.
Okay. First 30 years. Take me through and tell me maybe 5 reasons why you think your studio is as successful as it is.
I think I'm a very conservative studio. My children wear tights. They have full-bodied leotards on. There is no midriffs in my studio at all. Not on my competitive team, nothing. My daughter, when she became a professional dancer, was the first time she ever showed her midriff in public. It was funny. And when you come to my recitals, the grandparents feel good about sitting there. I know a lot of times people ask me what my secret is, and I'll say, that's one of the things. And they'll go, yeah, but our parents don't care about that. What else? Well, it's not just your parents of your kids, because they're kind of desensitized to it. It's who comes to watch. And I get so much business because people go to their first recital for their children, and then they see what the gyrating and the costuming and everything going on that stage, and I get their children. So I get a lot of second-year combo kids because the parents and grandparents were horrified. I think another thing is I have a huge service society within the studio. We are in the community so much. And Ree will tell you, I'm into everything in the community. And I did it because, remember whenever I told you that I was going to give everything away and I wasn't going to be good at this, and he was right? Instead of giving free tuition, I decided I'm going to help through charity. That's my outlet, because I have to do it. So I'm going to do it like that, because dance is not food. You don't need it. I literally know people that have never danced and they have sustained life. So I don't feel like that is something that we have to do. You know what I mean? So I think my service society, because people see us giving back, we do over 300 projects a year. And they're as big as Dancers Against Cancer all the way down to collecting coats for a coat drive. So we have a points-based system that I work on. And if you ever want information on that, just email me. I'll send it to you. But I feel like it's between the service society, how conservative the environment is with the dress and the music and the everything. I feel like we're family friendly, and I think that's what my area is missing, because I do have older kids that'll leave and go where it's the more suggestive movement, and they don't have to wear tights and they don't have to be at the ballet bar, and that's okay. I'm not for everybody, and I never change. See, I never compromise. I say, that's okay, have fun. We will always think of you fondly. Next, because I want people that I want them picking up what I'm putting down. Right. So I think that's what's made me successful. I do.
What kind of challenges or sacrifices?
Well, I couldn't have but one child. I knew I could only do it with one. I didn't want a pile of children anyway. I didn't want a litter. So I'm okay with the one I got. Fine. I
go to her house, I sit there, I just laugh for 4 hours.
I don't know. I do exactly what you guys do. I poured all my money back into my business for the first 9 years, not taking a salary, not valuing what I did, apologizing because I wanted to make money. I drove the same car. I got a Lexus, little SUV, pearl white Lexus, that little one, 350 or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a car person. But anyway, I bought that when I was expecting Natalie. And then when I wanted to get a new car, I got the same one, just upgraded, same color, everything. I did that 4 times over. Finally, Harold's like, no, we are getting a different car. That's weird. I said, but I don't want the parents to notice. It's just easier, because then they're like, I bought that car for you. You know how they are. And they really didn't, and it's just that mentality that we're not supposed to be successful is so terrible, because we celebrate other successes on Instagram every day when people are the self-made millionaire or the self-made this or whatever. Why aren't we celebrated?
Tell me how you handle staffing.
Oh, well, I'm going older now. I used to try to find the younger people that I thought that the kids would enjoy and all this. I've actually started hiring people closer to my age. I'm in my mid-50s. 2 years ago, I hired Becca and Tommy Redder. I begged them for 20 years to come off Broadway and come to me. And finally, when they were ready for that move, and so she teaches babies, and he's got great tap. He's opened a theater program within my studio. They've brought wisdom with them, whereas my younger people, I'm having to fight I need to be besties with all the kids, and they're on Instagram doing crazy stuff, and I'm chasing around trying to make sure that they're not doing inappropriate things, and they'll say anything they can to get that job, but then once they've got it, they're not always as special as we thought they were going to be. And that is the thing that I'm dealing with the most. I did have a student that was a student of mine that grew up, went away, came back, taught, and left a couple of years ago. And her plan was to take all my kids and form her own little boutique situation. And I was like, gosh, that is the worst, giving your heart to people that hurt you. So I have gone through a couple of years of just feeling sad. You think, why do you care about 5 or 10 kids out of 3,000? It's not that. It's the deception of it. And every one of you know it. It's not that. Is she going to put me out of business? Absolutely not. But it still hurts when you've loved a child so much and they've been friends with your daughter and stuff. We've all gone through it. So, it's icky. Staffing's hard.
How many staff? Like how many between the two? I know we just saw... The studio we just saw was the North Carolina studio.
Correct. I have a South Carolina one, and I won't torture you with a tour of that one, but it is on my website if you ever want to go look at it. And it's a 4-room school, and I have 1,000 students at that one, and then almost 2,000 at this main location. But what was the question?
I can't remember myself.
Staff. Thank you.
Staff. How
Guys,
many staff? Thank you all. You're so
good Lord,
supportive.
thank God y'all are here. I have 54 employees total. So, but that is my dance teachers, that's my office staff, and that is my assistants, because I pay my teenage assistants that help in classes. They're all 1099 employees. I'm not tonight. W-2. They all get W-2s. I take taxes on everyone. It's unlawful in North Carolina to not do that. So I do that to stay out of the hot seat. But because gone are the days where they, come and learn to teach so that they can learn to teach, and their parents think they're worth a lot. But I have 54 employees total. I have one office staff member that also can teach, and she grew up in the studio, and she's actually a magnificent teacher, but she's also an amazing office person. And I've actually just in the last year given her position of office manager. So she's the office manager, and I moved my office manager up to operations manager. So I've got 54 employees.
I'm gonna take you into a different place and ask you, so if I'm sitting here watching this and I'm thinking, I'd like to expand, I'd like to grow to 500, I'm at 200. What are your tips, suggestions to take it to the next level?
My tip is this, is we are a destination location. Like, people come to us for a service. If you're tucked back behind in an industrial park or something like that, try to pull yourself out into what I call the A location in real estate. That's what they call it, where you have cars passing you, where you're in the forefront of things. Because now, though I'm tucked back in this thing, I call it the Taj Mahal. It is like the Taj Mahal of all grocery stores. It's across the parking lot from me.
I have to stop. I have never seen a grocery store like they have wine in there. They have
do.
Friday night band in there.
I have been on date night in the grocery store.
It's a grocery store like you've never seen. It's an entertainment center and a grocery store.
It's crazy. You can get wine and walk around, stagger around, and get your groceries. It's awesome.
Okay. Anyway, she's across from that in the shopping center.
I'm across from that, so I get their traffic. So I am in a viable area, so I'm not having to keep throwing and reminding people I'm there. I would say this is what I would do, because I did it. So when I would move to my third location, which is when I did the big bump, is I went from my B- location, I go into an A spot. I put a lot of marketing dollars behind it, but I was smart with those marketing dollars. I did my research on how I could get most bang for the buck. Now, keep in mind, this is before Facebook ads were a thing and all that. So, the Charlotte News and Observer, they had this you could get postcards. They were 5x7 postcards that they would, and you could get them for like 4 cents a piece delivered to the houses. And you could pick the zip codes and the per capita income in the area. So I picked. I did those that got them in. I did that summer. I did $75 camps that summer, and everyone was signing up, and I maxed it at 75 kids. It was me and my sister and 2 assistants did them the whole summer, and I got every one of those kids. I came in strong. I did a lot to get my name out there. And then after that, I did not do any more of the discount of anything. I'm not Walmart, so I don't discount stuff. So moving to an A location, being smart with your marketing stuff, and now if I had it to do again, I would do a different marketing campaign. So if anybody is wanting to expand, I'm so glad to give you my thoughts on it. But expanding, and then I put Miller Street on every single thing that I could find. I even had a line of hairspray at one point that was from my hairdresser. He's retired now, but he was in my shopping center, and his place was called XS Hair, like the letter X and S Hair. And then I said, I would love to have my name on hairspray. Can you give me this? He said, I want my name on your hairspray. So we had the Miller Street logo, and then under where it says Dance Academy in my logo, it said buy excess hair. And I sold that, and I had that displayed in the studio. I had wristbands, I had pajamas, I had everything but underwear. Everything but panties had Miller Street on it. I had headbands, I have fanny packs, backpacks, everything Miller Street. One year I gave away beach towels for a gift at recital. I paid $8 a piece. $8,000 I spent. But everyone was sending me pictures of their pools in their at home of thousands of Miller Street yellow and white striped towels, and the logo stretched the whole length of it. So I had a little extra money to spend on it.
Well, I have a question. When you talk about these items that you created, they're usually to give away, not to sell, correct?
Now, the hairspray, I sold that. But most everything that I have with Miller Street on it is given away. I just want my name out there. Like for anytime I give a Christmas gift, I try to find something that people can use that they'll walk around with. And I've done T-shirts a few times, which everybody loves T-shirts. But I ordered these backpacks when Harold and I were dating. I ordered these backpacks, and of course I had 2,500 of those at the time. And on the backpacks, I got them from Walmart.com for $3.33 a piece, and they're full-size canvas backpacks. And he had to carry them over to the printers and have Miller Street put them on. I couldn't lift the boxes. They were so heavy. And he should have known then to run, but he didn't, so he's in now. But I had Miller Street put on them, and all these children took these backpacks and took them to school. Very few of them used them as their dance bag. They took them for school. So, I mean, I do sell our merchandise for our booty shorts and leotards and all this stuff. And actually, some people that go to the Regold events sometimes will say, oh my God, I just saw a seminar with you last week, and look, and one of my dancers will be visiting grandma and take a dance class in their area and have those booty shorts on or their leotard or whatever. So I do sell those things as well. But I said, what can I afford? I always say, I stop and say, what can I afford right now? I don't throw myself out there. So I do what I can afford at the time.
Something interesting that I want to make a point about is you never buy your tees and sweats from a t-shirt company. You tend to buy from retailers at discount prices. Am I correct?
I do. Yeah. Now, when I do a run of recital shirts, like, I'm doing my recital shirt, I now order those from a company. But if I am selling merchandise in the studio or on my staff or that type of thing, I'll go to Walmart or a discount place, and if they have a run of shirts or whatever, anywhere I go straight to the clearance rack and I start pulling stuff, because I give so many gifts to my teachers for Christmas and things like that. So I will pull things. I bought the best sweatshirts I've ever seen in my life when I was one of these trips I've had this summer. I think it was it's in California. I had to drag them all the way home. But I ran off site to go get some toiletry items, and I ran in there and ended up getting a suitcase full of shirts and stuff that were marked down to $3 at a Walmart. They were all Danskin brands, and they were nice, thick sweatshirts. And I'm having them embroidered, and I'm going to sell them at my open house. So I love shopping. That's like my superpower. So I kill two birds with one stone. That's what I'm always looking for, a good deal. And people now call me and go, hey, listen, I've got these excess things. Do you want a run of so many of this, that, or the other? And it might be whatever. And I'll say yes. And then I'll put them out to either sell or I'll do as giveaways or whatever.
Okay. Those of you that might have questions, feel free to come up to the microphones. But come up now if you want to. But before we go, what's the negative in all of this? Pitfalls.
Well, I never feel like I'm off work. It's been very hard for me. We were doing in our Gold Alliance thing a couple hours ago. Stacy asked us to write our bucket list of things that we want to do. Don't tell anybody, but I was writing down, I'm going to be more supportive of the staff. I'm going to do better train. I was like, what am I doing? I don't even have a bucket list outside of the studio. I almost started crying in that thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, because I do feel so blessed. I think, in my second decade is when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it was very life-altering for me. It changed how I felt about things and how I did things, and I've always felt like I'm living on borrowed time, and I don't know if that's good or bad, but it is what it is. And I have a little bit of what they call survivor's remorse of like, why me? Why was I chosen to stay? So I'm kind of a mess in here. So I never feel like I'm off work, and I never feel like my brain can be at ease. My cortisol levels are very, very high. So I've learned that recently. So I'm trying to get those down. I've just this Monday was the first day of my new life because I've turned my competitive team over to my sister and 3 other people. I'll never choreograph for them again. And I'm okay with that. I'm actually very happy with that.
When you say that, is it because you didn't enjoy it, or it was stressful?
It's too stressful. I want to disconnect from the kids. I want to not have that. I want to not feel that. I want to focus on those other kids where the money comes from. I want to focus on, I have 140 team members out of 3,000, and they take up 99% of my time. I don't know how I've been able to get my studios to this point, but this tells you how much I'm working and how much I'm involved in my studio. So I really do take it personal when people say, oh, you're so lucky. Of course you have that. Of course you have this. This was self-made. My parents supported me by making crown molding, and my mom helped me sew the costumes the first 5 years because we made every one of them that went on the stage. But they didn't give me money. They didn't pour money at me and say, oh, little princess, we want you to do this. That's not the family I came from. They're all entrepreneurs, and they knew not to ruin my spirit. So I would do that same thing again. It is actually fun. I sat at StarQuest Nationals in that dark, cold room with the loud music playing in my ears last week. And I'm looking on the stage, and I went, oh, I've got that number that Pat Hall used to have. It hit me. After 30 years, I've finally noticed. They've been up there for 10 years, but I didn't notice them. I was like, oh, my gosh. And now I couldn't tell you my bucket list because I've never wanted to go overseas. I didn't go to Europe until my kid was dancing there and had to go see her because I wanted to die because I miss her so bad. And so I've been to Europe 4 times in the last year and a half. And 2 weeks ago, being one of them, I stayed a whole 48 hours because I didn't have any more time to give to her. I literally flew to Europe, stayed 48 hours, and flew home because I needed to be back to this studio. So I'm hoping to get balance. So I have sacrificed so much. And I don't want to be a competitive teacher anymore.
Does anyone have any questions? Go stand right there. I just want to say something. Ask her about this afterwards. The second studio is non-competitive.
I love it.
The first studio is competitive. The second studio is non-competitive, and just as good a dancer in the second studio as the first studio. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I have 2 locations myself and not quite as many students. I would say one of my biggest regrets having 2 different locations, and one of the things I struggle with, and curious how you handle this, is I love knowing the kids' names, and you have several more hundred than I do. And how do you handle that? Are they just sweetie darling to you, or do you try to get to know them?
Yeah, it's like you've been in my hobby.
I mean, that's where I'm headed with it. That's why I'm like, I feel like everybody's just becoming, hey, how are you, little peanut?
Yes, cutie pie, sweetie pie. Okay. All that. Yes, no, I'm like, hey girl, how are you doing? And my eyebrows are always jacked to Jesus, so they know I'm excited to see them.
Right.
And listen, I plucked my eyebrows up so they would just stay there, I used to have Brooke Shields eyebrows, no more. I just plucked them so they're always jacked to Jesus. But I approach every child, every kid that walks in that studio, and he'll tell you this. He's seen me in action. I'll come in and I'm like, oh, how are you doing? Sometimes I don't even say their name. I'll say, girlfriend, how's it going? And I don't know all the parents. And I used to feel like I needed to know all the parents. You know what? When I go into my Baxter location, which is my second one, and I was there 2 days ago, I walked in, I was just enjoying a class, and Miss Jessica was the director there, and she was teaching the class, and I'm just watching what she's saying, and she stops what she's saying, and she goes, do y'all know who that is? And they were all like, and I looked at them, and they were all just staring at me like that. And she says, well, all of y'all are staring at her. Y'all can say, hey. And they're like, ah! They're so excited to see me because I never go there. I don't teach a step. No one there do I have a relationship with. And it's just okay because they're happy and they're thriving. And Jessica has done such a great job. And, you know, we have a performance company of 75. She won't go over that because that's what she can handle. And I don't make her do that. So, like, it is so empowering for me I walk in that studio with the same amount of pride because this is Miller Street. And I'm looking at these children who don't need Michelle. You know, they may think they want me, but I want to tell you this. I'm a fine dance teacher, but I think those other teachers are just as good or better. I am almost 55 years old. These 30 and 40-year-olds can do more movement now than I can. You know, I try, but they can do it. And I just empower them to do it. And I don't feel like I have to. But the funny thing you said that, because when I moved over, you know, and we went from 400 some kids to 600, I taught 97% of the 400 kids at least one class a week.
Because you felt like
I had to.
What she was bringing
Yes.
up, you needed to know.
I had to. I was like, oh my God, they'll leave if they don't feel like I know who they are. Blah, blah. No, I walk into restaurants all the time now and they'll say, you don't know me, but, and they'll tell me something great that happened in my studio, and or how they've watched us from afar and how they appreciate our modesty with dancers and how they're dressed, and our shows are so fun and on time and short.
What's a short show?
All my shows are less than 2 hours. Usually an hour and a half.
How many shows do you put on?
13.
Okay.
Every day gets a show at each location. So all my Monday Providence dancers get a show, all my Monday Baxter shows. So that's how we have them split.
So a show is by day.
It's by day, and I sprinkle my competitive numbers in between. I do my big production at the beginning. I do one at the end. I also have an intermission, act 1, act 2. If their kids are done act 1, out they go. We circulate like that. It's like Disneyland.
One of the reasons that she's so successful is because she's real. She's going to make you laugh. You're going to feel like you know her by the time you're done with the conversation. And she's passionate about what she does. Know that her success comes because of the reputation, the service organization. She's got great dancers. But nobody runs around the area of Miller Street Studios and go, that's where they make great dancers.
Not one person. I mean, maybe somebody,
but you get the point. And she's had Miss Dance of America and winners all over the country. But that nobody in the area that's coming to her school, other than the 140 kids who compete, even know about it.
They don't. I mean, you didn't see any trophies in there, did you? I don't. I have a tiny little trophy on the front of the building. Tiny little. I mean, I think it's 8 feet wide. Has every trophy, and I throw most trophies away. I don't keep them.
We're done.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Have a good day, everybody.